In Search of a Walker, Uncle Richard, Part 2. So this is Chapter 2, Part 2. This was the same day that Uncle Richard had given me a tour. If you look at Chapter 2, Part 1, you will see the tour of his house and how wonderful it was just being able to see his home and be invited in. After the tour, we got to sit down and have like a heart-to-heart conversation where I just learned so much more about him. I learned so much more about my grandfather. I learned more about my father, our family, just Uncle Richard's experiences. I know this is me talking about my family, but if you're a person, this is interesting. Uncle Richard is an accomplished physician who specialized in obstetrics and gynecology. He is an author. He has written these books, and he has so much knowledge. Co-authored this one. He has so much knowledge about health. If you don't watch anything else of this video, and I'm going to put timestamps in, find the portion about type 2 diabetes. There's so much information out there about it, but I learned something that I had no idea, something that was very important to me. Please watch it. It is vital information, good things to know, life-saving information that I think everybody should know. So just want to put that out there. I would like to give the biggest shout out to my cousin, Richard Mark Walker, who was the videographer for this video. It starts out with me recording Uncle Richard, but Richie asked if I would like for him to hold the camera so that he can get a perspective of me and Uncle Richard having this conversation. I mean, first of all, for me to have had this conversation with my uncle, I never thought I would have had, learning the things that I never thought I would learn. I mean, I got to hear words that were just so healing to me. But on top of it, to be able to go back, watch the whole thing, see my reactions, this is priceless, you guys. I mean, imagine going back in your life to some of the most important conversations that you've ever had and being able to re-watch them, being able to see yourself have the conversation. That is priceless. It was genius idea of Richie to do. I can only imagine how hard it was to have one camera this way, one phone this way, one phone this way, and to hold them, keep them steady. And thank you, cousin, for doing that for me. Thank you so much. In the very beginning of this conversation that we had, Uncle Richard was talking about his father, my grandfather, Richard Walker Sr. And he was saying that he was a master calligrapher. I had no idea. It's funny because the picture that you will see, and I share it, I've had it in this photo album that's been in my house ever since I think I've been born. And now that I live in the house that my mother moved out from when she moved to Ghana, I inherited those photo albums. So this picture of my grandfather, I always thought the table he was sitting at, I thought it was a draft table like for architecture or interior design or something, because that's the work that my father did. And so I thought that they had that in common, but no, it was actually for his calligraphy. So I wanted to point out how awesome that is. Just for reference, Uncle Richard calls Richie by his middle name, which is Mark. So whenever you hear him say Mark, he's referencing cousin Rich. I talked about in Part 1 of Chapter 2 with Uncle Richard and just how moving and beautiful it was to experience the love that he has for his wife and the love that I know that she has for him. But with her having Alzheimer's, it has just been really something to experience the devotion that he shows to her in the way that he takes care of her and takes care of her. I mean, takes care. And I can't say it any better. I wish I could elaborate better, but what I'm trying to say is this. in this part 2, he talks about Aunt Marvia. He talks about his wife and their experiences. He talks about the life that they built together, the life that they shared and her role in it, but also what their life together is like now. And just even throughout the entire conversation, just the way he looks at her, the way that he refers to her, the way that he just the way that he is with her, the way he is with Aunt Marvia. I want to just point out, like, just take note of the true love that's there, because it's something to behold. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure I point that out as well. There is a point when I ask Uncle Richard about my mother, and he says that she reminds him of Rosa. I just want to point out that Rosa is Richie's wife, and you will meet her in either chapter 3 or 4 upcoming. So hang in there. For everyone who has watched this so far, I am so grateful to you. This is not something, that I thought I would do, but I'm just following the lead of the Most High as he takes me down this path of healing. I've been wanting to be healed. I've been wanting to be better. And it's a ongoing thing. I mean, I'll probably always be wanting to be healed, but I'll take little bits at a time, a step at a time, a day at a time. I am so grateful for everything that has happened so far. And Richie, as I told you, I wouldn't be able to do this or have gotten this far if it weren't for you and your input and your openness. Uncle Richard, for your input and your openness. You said things to me that have truly impacted me in just a very small amount of time. So I love you guys. And again, like I said, I'll put those timestamps in there because Uncle Richard talks about, Black history, growing up in Harlem in the 1950s and 60s, talks about his experiences in the Air Force, his experiences deciding what specialty he wanted to do as a physician. He's a wealth of knowledge and information, but please do stay tuned for the piece on type 2 diabetes. It is invaluable. I hope you enjoy.
Card company.
Okay. For how long did he do that?
I don't know, but he had he had all the pens, all the inks, everything.
Wow.
And I gave it to Dee Dee. Dee Dee wanted it. I don't know what happened to it, but you should see the work. As a matter of fact, when you go to his house, Mark, you have that calligraphy that he'll show you.
Footprints.
The footprints, yeah.
Okay.
It's called the footprints. And he'll show you, when you see it, beautifully done. Steady hand, all the different pens.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Wow. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
And that's what he did at that table?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mainly calligraphy.
Did he build any other things like furniture or anything like that?
Well, he used to be an upholsterer.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a master upholsterer.
Man of many talents and skills.
He really wanted to be a businessman.
Okay.
But he didn't. Oh, okay. He didn't know how.
Okay.
And are you familiar? You're familiar with Aunt Irma, right?
Yes.
They used to have a store out in Long Island.
Thank you.
They had a store in Long Island that he used to run on the weekends or something like that. And he always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Just didn't have, he didn't know how to do it. And
but you said he had a store with Aunt Irma?
Aunt Irma and her husband had a store, and he would work there part-time.
Okay. And he wanted to
And he always wanted to be a businessman, an entrepreneur, but he didn't know how.
Okay.
And so he always had ideas, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and it never panned out. He just didn't know how.
Do you think that the skills that he acquired, like the calligraphy and the upholstering, were things that he learned so that he could make businesses out of them?
I think it was just something that he had the skill to do, and he did.
Okay, got it. So he was a creative person.
Yeah, there was no design.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting. That brings me up with so many things. You know the guy I was talking to on the phone?
Yeah.
I told you his words, I just had it out with him the other day. We're friends, but he said something to me. He said, oh, I noticed, I know of this woman who's a billionaire and yada, yada, yada. And I'm trying to get access to her. I said, well, that's cool. Do what you do. He's great for making connections with people. I mean, just great. I don't know how he makes all these connections, but that's his gift. Okay. And so we were having a business meeting that we have once a week, and he said, but we got to wait until this deal fully matures.
Okay.
And I thought about it. I said, why would you say that? He said, because what we want to do is if we get in contact with her, we need to show her what we're doing. I said, what does A have to do with B? He said, well, we need to have that as a demonstration. I said, who told you that? He said, well, that's the way it should be. I said, who told you that?
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, that's just the right way to go. And I told her, and there was another white guy who's the CEO. I said, that's the difference between white guys and black folks.
Told him that.
I said, you white guys, you need to have a design plan on how to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
It's got to be written out. Everything has to be structured. I said, did you ever hear of Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Had he?
I said, or the Jackson, the Jackson Ward District of Richmond, Virginia, or Haiti, the Haiti district in, I think it's Durham, North Carolina. I said, I can tell you there's 150 communities of color that were built and formed and became economic engines by ex-slaves who didn't know how to read, didn't have any money, didn't have inheritance, barely had any food, had no land, had no education, didn't have any banking, had no investors.
Nope.
Okay? We had nothing.
Yep.
And we made it anyway.
That's right.
I said, when you talk to me, you can't talk to me about a formula, something that's rigid, and we got to do it this way to make certain that you think it's going to be that way. I said, in my life, I have never had the package for me to achieve whatever.
Yeah.
I've never had a package. I stumbled, I made mistakes, all kinds of grandiose mistakes, everything. But I did it anyway.
That's right.
Don't tell me that you need to have this in order to meet and talk to this billionaire.
Right.
If that happens, and you're going to wait for this because that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
I said, don't tell me that.
How did he respond to that?
Well, he changed his tone a little bit. I said, Doug, you've been like this forever.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's what you white folks do.
Yeah.
Show me the roadmap. I said, black folks never had a roadmap.
That's right. We do what we got to do As we do it.
I said, and we figured it out.
Yep.
I said, that's how me and my wife made it.
Yeah.
We just figured it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know how to get there. But her saying, remember I tell you what it's saying?
Yes.
Do it afraid.
Yeah.
Mark, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Do it afraid. She would always say that, do it afraid. And if you want to talk about somebody who was, she was fearful of almost everything.
But
that was her world. Her world was mainly because of her mother. Her world was a world of fear. They lived on 116th Street. Don't go downstairs. Don't go here. Don't go there. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then their father left them 11 kids for another family. Left them
11 children.
11 children. And he left them for another family.
Were those his children too? He had started another family, or
no? He went and married found another woman who had 3 kids or something like that,
goodness.
and left his 11.
That is unthinkable.
And that's part of the fear that her mother had, and that fear posed itself on them.
Right.
So Aunt Mom grew up, she was afraid to go anywhere outside close proximity to where they lived, because she always felt that she could never make it to the bathroom if she had to go. It was a terrifying thing for her.
Yeah.
I would say, well, let's go ahead. She said, well, no, I'm afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? Well, what if I can't find a bathroom? So what do you mean, what if you can't find a bathroom? She was always terrified.
So when did she, or since you've known her, when did she start to practice and adopt that do it afraid?
She would just do it. When when I was in the military, I'm down. I got stationed in San Antonio. She'd never been on a plane or anything, and she was with Carr, and I said, "Come on down." She was terrified. She got on the plane. She came down.
I'm going to where my man is. Okay.
And there was nobody there but me, her, and Carr.
Wow.
Just us.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. It always was. It was just.
Side note, I came soon.
What did you say? What did you say?
Side note, I came soon.
Yes.
Well,
Follow.
He showed up in San Antonio. Okay? He didn't come to San Antonio.
Arrived.
He was in San Antonio. He was a San Antonio boy.
Yeah.
The only Texan.
He's the only. Truly, he's the only Texan.
Yeah.
But that's where it started, and we did everything. And we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything, and we made it.
Yeah. Tell me more about your dad.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, okay, you can. Sure.
Yeah. But that was Aunt Mav. Aunt Mav never, even with her fear, never tried to prevent me from doing anything. Even before we got married. Okay. And if I get a little emotional, it's just because I remember. Even before we got married, she would always say, "We can do it." We can do it.
Yeah.
The first encouragement I ever had in my life was her.
So Tell, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask more about that.
Will you stop that?
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. Tell me more about that. Why was that the first encouragement? Because from me being just looking on and looking at pictures and hearing stuff, it seems like you stayed close with both your parents through their lives?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
no. I got away from my parents.
So what are your earliest memories of your dad? Like, what was he like with you?
My dad was he was tough.
Okay.
He was tough. He didn't play. And I took on the same demeanor that my father had with my kids, because his thing was, I can't afford to allow you not to be strong enough to fight against the things that are going to come against you that would prevent you from being successful.
Okay.
And the example that he always gave me was our uncles on my mother's side. They drank and smoked and gambled. Okay. He said, "Don't you ever let me see you smoking, drinking, or playing cards."
That stuck with you?
Big time.
Okay.
Never. And I don't know if Mark remembers. My father was. It was like, I mean, nothing was right for him. Okay, nothing was right. He was. If he saw somebody walking and they didn't walk right, he would say, "Look at that dummy." Mark, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that dummy. Look how he walks.
That is very true.
It was always, look at
Okay.
Rich, look at that dummy. Look how he walks.
But wait, it wasn't just calling your name. It was.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was always, it was always, Rich, look at that dummy.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking, I'm saying,
Like what?
okay,
What's wrong with him?
look how he walks.
I remember we were in I don't know where we were. We were in Queens or Manhattan or somewhere. And,
Queens, it was Queens.
It was Queens, and guy was crossing the street.
Because we were in the car together.
We were in the car, me, Grandpa, and Dad, and there was a guy crossing the street, not at the crosswalk, but just jaywalking, cars coming, and Grandpa sped up, and he said, towards the man, and he said, "Look at this dummy, look at this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You shouldn't be crossing. What, you got bumpers on your butt? No." So he sped up. And he almost hit the dude. I was like, Grandpa, stop. He's like, that dummy shouldn't be in the street.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
yeah, okay, you're right, but
we shouldn't hit him with the car.
can we not hit him, please?
Right. Wow. Yeah.
All right, hold on. We on him. Gotta get wait. Hold on, Dad. Hold on, sis.
Oh, yeah. Give me that.
Okay. Action.
Give me. Thank you.
So who cuts her hair? You do?
I take her to Irma. J.C. Penney.
Okay. How often?
Well, it was once a month until I ran out of dough me, and now it's whenever I have some money. And because I don't like her when she looks bad. I just don't. She never kept herself looking bad, and I'm not going to let her look bad. And I get her nails done too.
Nice.
Yeah. And Irma knows how to take care of her husband. He had Alzheimer's.
Okay.
and she takes care of Marvia.
Yeah, she does her nails too.
No. And so I take her over to some Vietnam place, and then Mary's over there.
Okay, somebody who knows how to
And
do it.
whenever I take her early, so she doesn't have to be with all the people and the fuss. And this one lady, it's a big place, but this one lady, she takes care. She puts her in a chair, and instead of moving her to different stations, she does everything right there in one spot.
Okay.
Does her feet and her fingers and everything. And the funny thing about it, I used to go in and they would say, what color? And I would say, this. And I put, and so when they're finished, it's not the color I picked, okay? It's some other color. And so I go in and they say, what color? I say, okay, this one.
So they've done that more than once.
So now I go in and they say, what color is it?
Whatever. Surprise. Just make it up.
Yeah, just do it, okay?
It don't matter what I pick anyway.
What's the color of the month?
Right.
So, whatever color you see is the color they pick, okay?
Well, I like that.
So, and what you'll see is, you'll see her, it's like she's holding something, okay?
Yeah.
When her nails get long, she feels it. It feels like there's something in her hand, and she's always holding something. So you'll see me say, "I just did it a couple of minutes ago." I'll say, "Gimme." There's nothing in her hand.
Yeah, and then you go like that.
Yeah, she'll do that, but there's nothing in her hand. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, Marvia?
And why she bites her lip like that, I don't know.
Okay.
And a lot of times you'll see her shaking her hand. That's her.
Okay.
Okay, that's her. That's not a nervous condition.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just her. And so when she does that, I'll just do that and it stops. The other day, Mom's best friend, her name is Fifi. And Fifi was over and Fifi wanted to go upstairs. I wanted to go, Fifi wanted to do something upstairs. And so I said, well, come upstairs and let me show you, So Fifi was holding Mom's hand, and Fifi was saying, okay, Marvia, come on. And so Marv took one step, and then Fifi said, okay, let's take another step. I said, Fifi, get out of the way. And I came over and said, Marv, come on. And Marv did,
Wow.
on her own.
Okay.
I said, don't let her fake you out. There are some things she can do, and some things she can't do. But when she's ready to do something,
she'll do it.
She'll do it.
Okay.
And she just went upstairs with no help at all.
Wow.
On her own. I said, hey, get out of the way. She's psyching you.
She got this.
She's nice. She's really nice to be because she can somebody. Felt well known.
Yeah.
So just because they drag you with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I know. I always answer her because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And the fact that she may not be able to verbalize, I don't know if she understands. So I answer her, assuming that there might be something residual that she does comprehend.
Right.
She just can't get it out.
Yeah.
So I always make certain answers. I never ignore her.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, I think, because, like you said, what if she did finish what she was saying? As far as she's concerned, if you don't answer, then that could be frustrating.
Yeah.
So,
and I belong to a men's Alzheimer's group, and it's good because it gives you a chance to talk out stuff, and we just talk about how are you doing, how's your wife doing, and all that sort of stuff. And I get frustrated with it because a lot of the guys, they refer to their wife as though their wife has comprehension of what's going on. Like they would say, well, my wife is doing this and she's doing that and she's doing this. And I would say, your wife has Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Did you forget that?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, but I said, she doesn't know what she's doing. What are you talking about? You're talking about your wife as though she's doing something deliberate that is annoying you.
Right.
I said, every day they're losing 10,000 to 100,000 neurons every day. And so whatever you get that day, be appreciative of what you got that day. Because tomorrow's not going to be there. And that's why I know, I know God has blessed me because she knows who I am.
Right. Yeah.
She knows who she is.
Yeah.
She may not be able to say his name anymore, and she can't say Carr's name anymore. But when she sees him, she starts smiling. She knows, she starts to light up.
That's all that today.
She lights up with the grandkids. When the grandkids come, she's all smiles.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The other day, Carr called. Mom was asleep. Okay. And so I always put Carr on speaker. And she's talking. And she said, well, where's Mom? So I held the cell phone there. I remember she's asleep. And then Carr said, there's a certain way she says it, mother, a high pitch and everything. And Marvia did, psh, psh. Okay. Now she used to do that with the kids, like, when you get on my nerve. Psh, psh.
Yeah.
Okay, now she's asleep and she heard Carr's voice and she, psh, psh. And then she woke up and did it again. Psh, psh.
Yeah.
And Carr was crying. And I said, she said, I just miss Mom. I said, but Mom knows you.
Yeah.
Soon as she heard your voice, she wanted to slap you in the face. I said, you need to be happy about it.
Not quite the memory I was going for.
But like you said, take what you can get.
Yeah, I said, as soon as she heard your voice, it was, psh, psh, and she wasn't even awake yet, So I said, so what you got to understand, Carr, I know you miss Mom, but you're still there. All of you are still there.
Yeah.
I said, and most people whose wives have Alzheimer's, they're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're not there anymore. Face. What's my name? What's my name, Face? Who am I? Face.
Put me on the spot.
Marvia. What's your name?
Mama.
What's your name, Face? Marv, what's your name? Okay, maybe next time. Can you tell me what your name is? Okay, not today.
Yeah. Like, look, it's too much attention.
Yeah.
Got cameras on me and everything.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. You wanted to ask me a question.
Oh, it's okay. Back to what you were saying about her encouraging you being the first that you had gotten. So you told me about how your dad was just being, very like a hard.
He was tough. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play.
So what about your mom? Your earliest memories of how she was with
He
you?
was like most moms, pretty straightforward. She was always trying to modulate my father from being so rigid.
Okay.
But she didn't play. Her thing was, I tell you to do something, and if you don't do it, I'm telling your father. That's all I needed to hear.
Did she work when y'all were young, or did she stay?
They all work.
Oh, okay.
They all work. My father always had 2 or 3 jobs, all the time. His big break was when he got a job with the sanitation department.
Okay.
That was huge because steady income, pension,
Right. Yeah.
days off. That was huge. Okay. But he maintained his part-time job as a janitor over at the school, which was right across the street, PS 57. And he worked at the corner store. The Younces, Younz, Younces, they were the Younce brothers. Okay. They were black and they owned the corner store. It was a bodega. Okay. And he would work there part-time. Okay.
What did your mom do?
She worked at Bloomingdale's.
Oh, when y'all were little? Because I knew she worked there, but I didn't know.
She worked there for years, 30 years or so.
Wow. A long time.
Long time. It was mainly part-time, I think. Sometimes it was full-time, it was part-time. I don't remember her ever working anywhere else. But it was at Bloomingdale's. And everybody knew her. Everybody. Okay.
That was grandma.
You better get up.
Yeah, you want me to go? Where you want me to go? Yeah. And the other thing about my father was that he would have your shoes shine.
Oh, really?
I keep my shoes shine, not like I used to, because I don't wear shoes hardly anymore, and I don't have what I really want, so I can do a good shine. But my shoes will almost never not shine.
Wow.
And it became even more significant when I went in the military, because you had to have a spit shine. And even when I got out, my shoes will always shine. And he would say, you're never fully dressed unless your shoes will shine. And he was big. The other thing he was big on, handshake.
Really? Okay.
Mark, do you remember that? Handshake. Don't give me no dead fish.
No, that's all
right. And look me in the eye.
Okay.
You give me a strong, firm handshake and look me in the eye. And I taught Mark that, and to this day I try to teach the grandkids the same thing. Don't be giving me no dead fish. Be a man when you shake somebody's hand. Yeah. Male or female. Okay.
Yeah.
Firm, look him in the eye.
Yeah.
Have some character.
Wow. So you told me briefly when we were on the phone, I asked about this, like I was trying to get to the bottom of, not to the bottom of, but just learn more about like my dad and why he was who he was. How much older? Well, he was born in 1950. So
he was born in 50. So he's 4 years older. 4 years younger. I was born in 46.
Okay. And from your memories or your experience, your father and mother were not as hard on him like they were with you and your sister?
They let him get away with everything.
From when he was even the smallest.
Me and Dee Dee, we used to say that all the time. But that happens in families. When you're the last kid, usually the first one gets the brunt. Right. The second one is less. The third, fourth, fifth, you can eat dirt. Okay. The first one, oh no, don't touch. Don't. Oh no, you can't be in the same room. Because they're so pure. By the time you get to number 5, it says he'll get through.
Right.
I'll clean him up when I finish sleeping. Anything. It was like, aren't you gonna say something?
Yeah, my children have asked me that too, and I feel like I'm trying to parent my youngest one like with the same oomph, and I think I am. But there have been times when my older children are like, "Why you let her talk to you like that?" Or why, So I'm experiencing it, and for friends of mine who have multiple children, they say the same thing.
This is human nature.
Yeah.
You let your guard down. You're kind of tired. You don't have the same vigilance
Right.
That you had before. This just is.
Yeah. So what memories do you have of you and my dad, like before you left home? Y'all ever having fun together or playing?
No.
Really?
No.
Man. So who did he play with?
He had his own group of friends.
Really? Maybe some of the strangers in these pictures that we don't know.
Yeah, he had his own group of friends. But a lot of his friends I said they were all strange together. But they were all of his friends were the last kids of the family. Okay.
Interesting.
Like Thumper.
Okay.
Steve and Peggy Ruffin. Peggy just died recently. Steve Ruffin was the mad scientist. Hold on. I'm going to show you Steve Ruffin. Oh, Steve Ruffin. Steve Ruffin was the mad scientist. We called him the mad scientist because he blew up his room twice.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But Steve, we call Steve the genius. But Steve wound up working for AT&T as, I think he was an engineer.
Oh, wow. All right.
Willie Covington became a corporate counsel for ABC.
These are people y'all grew up with.
130 East 115th Street. That's where we came from. And me and a friend of mine, Ernest Stringer, now Imam Lukman. If you want to talk somebody who knows the history of 130,
Mm-hmm.
I told Carr, I said, Carr, you can write a TV series on East 130. Some of the stories about the guys who came out of East 130 East 115th Street. You got a physician, corporate attorney, a AT&T scientist or engineer, but then you got even Lukman. Lukman went to prison for kidnapping. Yeah, he went to prison for kidnapping, and he became an imam who went into the Muslim faith. He was my best friend. He lived two doors from us. But a lot of stories. Tommy Howe became a banker. And I didn't know until recently Tommy and his family were kicked out of the projects. I just found that out. He told us last year. They just disappeared. Nobody knew where they went. But there were certain things that you couldn't do or violate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And his kid brother did something, and they had to leave that day.
Oh my God.
That day. I never knew that.
People go through stuff.
And the projects were mainly for families of men who came who were GIs.
Oh, okay. It was designated for them?
Yeah.
This is everyone you just named.
Which one is me?
I am going to say that you were the one in the hat.
That's me. And the one to my right, the one to my right is Steve Ruffin. You see, do you see the building behind?
Mm-hmm.
That camera is looking towards 115th Street and Lexington Avenue.
Okay.
Okay. Where did that picture come from? Mark is trying to say something.
Yes. He said,
Where did that picture come from? A guy, a Puerto Rican guy, was walking through the projects. He said, I have a brand new camera. I want to take a picture of you guys. And we were playing in the dirt. We stopped. He took a picture. It's out of my mind. I'm done.
Right.
One day I see him. He hands me this picture.
Wow.
I don't know the guy.
He came back and gave it to you.
How did he find me?
Were you outside again, or did he come to?
I have no idea. How did he find me? Okay, now that billboard? Mm-hmm. That billboard is over the Younts bodega.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you send me that picture? No, you don't have to do it right now.
No, I'll send it to you. That billboard is over the Younts bodega. Now, on that billboard, it says elect. Mm-hmm. Who was running for office? Eisenhower.
Wow.
Okay. Eisenhower was running for office.
Wow.
All right. Now, you see Steve Ruffin. Mm-hmm. Over this way, across the street, there was a lot.
Okay.
Okay. We're on the grounds of the projects. Across the street are tenement houses, but there was a vacant lot.
Okay. The
vacant lot, I don't know if it was that year, kids used to play in the vacant lot. Someone threw a sofa off of the vacant lot and it landed on a kid's head.
Picture's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Picture's gone.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Did that stop children from playing there?
Of course not. They were right back at it.
Do you have any memory of what happened as far as that situation?
No, I know we went to the kid's house when he was in a casket.
Oh my gosh.
Twins.
You delivered these twins?
Yeah.
Aww. Wow, was that your first twins?
Oh no. What I was actually trying to do is put them in my pocket. The pocket of my
Okay, I see that.
I was trying to put them.
The one on your right is not having it.
No, I was trying to put them in my pocket.
Were the parents around to witness that?
Yeah, they took the picture. And I still have the board. I don't know where it is. I think it's in storage. But I had a board of not all, but so many of the babies that I delivered. And I had this big board of all these babies.
Wow.
You know.
So. What made you choose obstetrics?
That's an interesting question. I just told somebody that the other day. I really like psychiatry, but psychiatry is a scam. Okay, why is it a scam? I took my psychiatric rotation at Bronx Lebanon Hospital, and it's in the South Bronx. And we would go there, and I think once a week they would have these discussions about, there was a big coffee table, and they would have these discussions about all the patients and what their conditions were and what they were going to do. And I would go. I'm a student. Okay, I think I was in my senior year. Remember, my senior year wasn't a fourth year, it was a third year. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there, and remember, I'm a Vietnam vet. So I'm in school with a lot of people who they've been in school. Right. And so I would sit there and I would be so aggravated And I would be aggravated because the people that they're talking about and they're giving all these fancy diagnoses to and putting on medication, they're Hispanic and they're African American and Caribbean. And you know what their main problem was? They didn't have any work. They're out of work. And I would sit there and listen, and I would just chuckle to myself. And so one day, you know, they're going around, now as a medical student, you know, but they asked me a question, you know, and they said, well, Mr. Walker, you know, what do you think about this? And my answer was, I don't think any of you know what you're talking about. Well, what do you mean? I said, you're giving all these people who live in the South Bronx who don't have jobs, you're giving them all these psychiatric conditions and diagnoses and medications, and none of you tried to help them get a job. Their problem is they don't have a job. They're out of work. They're not crazy.
Right.
And you've labeled them and you put them on medication, and not one person is trying to find them a job. Well, I failed. I knew, I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I got honors.
Really? Wow.
I got honors. I don't know how I got honors. But anyway.
Honors for honesty.
and what I realize is that they take care of these people for life. They're on medication for life. Okay, so what are you doing to help them in their life circumstance?
Yeah.
Nothing. And that just turned me off. And so I'm going to answer your question. The other field that I really liked was internal medicine.
Okay.
Traditional Walker short answer.
And why didn't I go into internal medicine? Because everything was about, okay, what's the latest research and what are we going to do and this and that, and you know. And then on rounds, I would come on rounds, and you know, the next day the bed is empty.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, is this patient discharged? They died. While you're trying to figure out what's the latest research and what we should do and this and that, they died.
Mm.
You didn't do squat, and they died. So I'm not interested in this. And then OB-GYN was a combination of cognitive things and procedures, surgery. But the one thing that blew me away when I was on my internal medicine rotation, there were times we took care, there were a couple of people in diabetic coma, men who were in diabetic coma. We stayed up all night saving their life, IVs and doing this and doing this, and then me and the intern and the resident. And when these guys recovered, they just left. They didn't say thank you, they didn't say nothing, they just left. And that was so discouraging. I mean, the interns and residents, they didn't say anything, but I just noticed, I said, these guys busted their butt to keep you alive.
Right.
You didn't even say thank you. Mm. But in OB-GYN, almost every woman, no matter what, said thank you.
Yeah.
And that impressed me. Just the human element of say thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Just thank you. And it was like, wow, what a difference. And that was the deciding factor. And I said, you know, I just appreciate somebody saying thank you for all the work. Thank you. And that was my decision. And I told her, and she said, you want to do what? You want to do what? You know how much I don't like to go to the doctor, the OB-GYN. But when I told her I wanted to go to OB-GYN, she said, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you all the things I hate about going to the OB-GYN's office. We're going to do what I think should be done.
Wow.
So what we did is we, you had, the speculum is, okay? We put heaters in the drawer where the speculums were.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Never had a cold speculum.
How thoughtful.
The gel that you used, the gel was warm. The gloves were warm. The rooms were dolled up.
Yeah.
Literally. She had dolls everywhere in the room, in the examining room. Dolls, instead of these gigantic glaring lights, we had the lights, but she had lamps.
Okay.
And pictures.
Great idea.
And where you have the stirrups, stirrups are cold. She got pot holders and put them over the stirrups so that your feet wouldn't be touching the stainless steel.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. She made it a different world when you came in our office. It said, we're not like everybody else.
Man, that's fantastic.
She said, if you're going to be an OB-GYN, women hate going. Let me tell you why. Here's what you're going to do. Yeah. And we did everything different. And our office was packed all the time.
I bet. And you probably didn't have to do any advertising, just
None,
word of mouth.
None. 50% of the nurses that were in the hospital were my patients.
Wow, yeah. I'm not surprised.
And her.
Yeah.
She said, no, we're not, You're gonna do OB-GYN, we're gonna do it right. People are gonna want to come here and they're gonna tell everybody else.
Yeah.
That you're thoughtful.
Yes, yeah.
This is not just a mechanical thing. You're thoughtful, and you care about them, and you're different. And oftentimes, when you went to the OB-GYN's office, when they put you in the office, they made you change your clothes. Okay, take your clothes off. I didn't do that. I saw you first. We had a discussion. Then I would ask you to change.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to have you sitting there waiting all that time.
Right.
In a paper gown.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would talk to you first, but that took time. So I was always late. And when I had patients complain, I would just ask them, when you came in the office, did I sit down and talk to you? Yes. I said, were you able to ask me questions? Yes. Was I in a hurry? No. I said, the patients that I saw before you, do you think I did the same thing with them? Yes. I said, do you understand why I was late? Yes.
Yep.
If you want that kind of care, this is what it takes. And I can't rush.
Yeah.
I'm not rushing. I can't do it.
Right.
I'm not practicing medicine that way. The other thing that we did differently is there was a husband and wife. This guy was about 6'7", 6'8", 350, big guy, mean.
Big and
Mean. The thing that surprised me, he always came with his wife to the appointment, but he was mean. I said, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to make you pay. Most men, when they are in the delivery room, they see the delivery, they pass out. So I said, are you going to be at the delivery? He said, yeah, I'm going to be there. I said, so I strategized. And I said, okay. And I wanted to make certain that he passed out hard.
Make certain.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the rest of the story, so what I did, I told the nurses, I said, when the baby's close to delivering, I want you to put gloves on him. I said, and I never had them, I never took the patient to the delivery room. Mm-hmm. I delivered the patient right there in the bed.
Okay.
Okay. So what I would do is I would put, I would stand on the right side of the bed, and I would take the patient's foot and put her on my hip. And then I would have a nurse stand on the opposite side, and she would take the patient's foot, put it on her hip, and we're going to deliver the baby right there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So one day I said, when this guy comes, put gloves on him and put them on opposite me.
Instead of the nurse.
I wanted him to pass out, and I wanted him to pass out hard.
Did he pass out hard?
He finished the story. So we put the gloves on, and he has no idea what's going on.
Okay.
And so here's the baby. The baby's being birthed. The head is out. So I grab his hands, and I take his hands, and I put his hands on the baby's head. Mm-hmm. And then I put my hands on his hands, and I started to direct him on delivering the baby.
Wow.
Okay. And so he gets the baby out.
Okay.
And he's shaking, but he doesn't pass out.
Wow.
I'm kind of pissed. He doesn't pass out, but he's shaking and everything. And then he wants to let go. I said, "You're not finished." Okay. And so I said, "Here, put this on the umbilical cord." It was the umbilical clamp.
Oh my God.
So I said, "Put this on the cord." So he clamps it down. And then, there's two. And then I hand him the scissors. And then I said, "Cut in between." So he's shaking and he cuts in between. And I said, "Now give the baby to your wife." And so he gives the baby to his wife and starts crying.
Oh.
He starts crying.
What?
Bawling.
Really? Oh.
Bawling. And his whole demeanor changed and said, "I am so sorry the way I've been treating you."
What? That's a way better outcome.
He apologized. He said, "I never knew what you went through, what this was all about. I am so sorry." Wow. This guy changed. He never went back to who he was. Wow. Ever. He was a changed man. And I'm saying, what did I discover? And then I started doing that for every dad from that point on.
Really? That's awesome.
Whenever we can have a normal delivery.
Yeah.
I would always tell the nurses, don't tell the dads because they'll panic.
Right.
I just put them on the opposite side. They put the gloves on. They're trying to figure out, why are they putting gloves on me?
What am I going to do?
Okay, and then I would just have them stand there. I said, just stand there, keep your hands up, and they're looking, and then when that head comes out, put the hands on, and every guy had a similar reaction. It was just incredible. And the word started getting out.
Yeah.
People wanted to be involved, and they got involved, and it was just great. It was just great. With me trying to be mean, I'll never forget that. But it flipped. I mean, the outcome was better.
Right. Yeah. It changed his life and hers.
It did change.
The trajectory of the baby's life.
Yeah, and she said, "I don't know what you did with my husband, but he's not the same. He's not the same. And he's different with the kids. He's different with everybody. He's different with me." I said, "Wow." I said, "God, you're kind of cool."
Yeah. You didn't go.
Those are just I got some of my stories.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I haven't told that in years. So what else you want to know about your father? Your father and I, we were oil and water. I don't know why, we just were. And
well, at least at Grandma's house, in those pictures that I have, at least y'all both were smiling.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't always hostile, but I never understood him. I didn't get it, and I didn't get my parents then. I said, how do you let this guy get away with all this sort of stuff? So.
Would you say it was a standard sibling, upbringing, or was there animosity, or was there bitterness, or?
I don't know what it was, but my house, I couldn't wait to get out. I wanted out, O-U-T.
Why?
Because it was hostile. Everything was hostile.
Just communication, or?
They were always arguing. They were always fighting. Always, always, always. And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And I couldn't understand why they couldn't be nice to one another. And it never was. It was always anger, always hostility, always arguing, screaming. Dee Dee was never happy. Dee Dee was the antithesis of everything. Everything my parents wanted, she wanted the opposite. And I didn't get Dee Dee. Dee Dee was different. I think the truth of the matter, I think they were normal. I was odd. Okay, because
Maybe.
It couldn't have been the two of them, and I was right. I was the odd guy, okay? I just didn't know what normal was. They were normal. I was the guy that was confused, all right?
Who was Buddy?
Buddy was my cousin.
How?
My father's brother's son.
Who's brother?
Buddy. James.
Buddy was James's son?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Uncle James was sharp.
When you say sharp, you mean
Sharp.
smart?
Dress.
I was gonna say, or fancy.
Zoot suit.
Really?
Ooh. I never saw Uncle James come messed up.
Okay.
Never. He was always clean.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
All right now, Uncle James.
Okay, Uncle James is a bad dude. And he was a very fair-skinned guy.
Okay.
You saw the picture of him. He was the one. There were two brothers standing together. He had on a long military trench coat and almost like a pilot's hat, like a military hat.
I have to look again.
Okay.
Who was that you described?
James.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of our books.
Okay. Yeah, Uncle James is cool.
You know the picture. Yeah.
Okay.
When you see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Uncle Ralph was cool. All the time.
Okay.
Uncle Ralph was just a cool guy. Always happy. On Adelaide, always happy. I first learned about classical music through Uncle Ralph and on Adelaide.
She's his wife, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they live in Washington Heights. George Washington High School was in Washington Heights. Occasionally I would come from school, stop at their house. I remember they had this album, it was red, and I think it was red. And I said, Bolero? What kind of name is that, Bolero? You ever hear Bolero? I'll find it and I'll let you hear it. I love Bolero. That was the first classical song I ever heard. Okay. And then they had more classical music. They had a lot of jazz. Okay. I used to go up there and just play their records.
Nice. Yeah.
All the time. And I'm like, Richie, did you eat? No. Okay, you gonna play your records? Yeah. Okay, and I'll fix you a little snack. And I just listened to the music. I just loved it. Just fell in love with classical music and jazz, and they had it.
So it's fair to say that you didn't understand why your household wasn't like their household. They seemed happy. They seemed in unison with each other, and you couldn't understand why your house wasn't more like that?
No, I never put that together.
Okay.
It just was what it was.
It was just, that's the way they were, and that's how my house was. And I never tried to, intellectualize and say, why is that like that?
Yeah.
I just went there. I went there one day because I don't know why. I just went there. I know it was close to where George Washington High School was, and I just went there. I went to visit them, and I started listening to the music.
Okay.
I saw all these albums that I didn't recognize and stuff. And I asked Aunt Adelaide, can I play them? And she said, yeah. And I said, oh, man, it just took me in another world.
Did they have children?
Yeah, Aaron and
I'll think of her name.
Lynn.
Lynn, yeah.
Lynn, Aaron and Lynn.
Were they parents at the time that you would go visit them?
I don't remember the kids being there when I would visit.
About how old were you?
I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
I hated high school. Every minute. High school was, I hated high school. I was a loner in my life. I never fit into anyone, even today. I only fit in because I know I have to. But being me, I would just be me and Mom.
High school is a hard place to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said high school is a hard place to be that way, to be a loner.
Yeah, I was a loner before high school. Even when I was growing up, I just never fit. I don't know why. I just never fit. The way other people were, the way they did things, I always saw the world differently. Okay. Lukman was probably my closest friend, but then there was John Morales, Uncle John, and so I had a few friends, but I was never the clique guy. And high school was just miserable. I was mocked a lot in my high school, especially when they found out I was wearing my father's shoes. that was bad. Yeah. I mean, my shoes had holes in them, and one time it was raining, and I said, okay, I'll wear my father's shoes. And somebody said, man, those are some, they were shine, right? Okay. So somebody said, man, those are some nice shoes. They're shiny. I said, oh yeah, these are my father's shoes. Why did I say that?
Because you had no idea
why
you shouldn't say it.
I never lived it down. Never. And they had various groups, and the guys, they had their cliques, and
that's rough.
I just didn't fit, and so I stopped trying to fit in. I used to try and fit in all the time, and I just said, okay, this is not my thing. But then what I realized is that the more I tried to fit in, the less things worked for me. And then I began to realize when I did it my way, and I didn't have to answer to anybody, I didn't have to try and figure it out for the group or whatever, I made it work.
Good thing you figured that out. Some people don't figure themselves out, ever.
And going through, I told you I finished college in 2.5 years. I had to take, in order for me to graduate when I wanted to graduate, I had to take Calculus 102, before I took Calculus 101. Okay. So how I did that, it's better to say I'm sorry than to ask permission.
Right.
I wanted to graduate at a certain time, and I said, I'll have to go back if I do it their way. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I registered in summer school, Cal 102.
Okay.
I registered as Richard Walker. And, but my full name was Richard W. Walker Jr. Nobody checked. So I registered as Richard Walker, took Cal 102, and then there was another course I had to take in reverse. Mm-hmm. And so that allowed me to graduate on time. And the January graduation at 2.5 years, rather than having to go back. Mm-hmm. And what I also did is I went in summer school. There were 2 semesters. I did both semesters. So in one summer, I got 24 credits or something like that.
Wow, that's amazing.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to take a college course. Marv said, if I want you to go to college. I said, no, I'm done with college. She said, with all the stuff that you're going through in the military, you can't tell me you're not college material. I want you to go to college. Okay, so I wasn't going to go at night. So I figured out a way to go doing working hours. And what I tell people, learn the rules. If you learn the rules, you'll figure out ways to do things that most other people don't figure out. But without breaking the rule, you can figure out the loophole.
Yeah.
Okay, the loophole was, if you're taking a college course that enhances your workload, you can take it doing work hours, and the military will pay for it. That means I can take it during the day, doing work hours, be excused for it, get permission from the commander, and have them pay for it with no loss. Wow. So I did.
No, that's all right.
I took Chemistry 101, and I was shocked because I got a B+. I remember I failed out of Bronx Community College. And when I came back, I told Mom, I said, I can't believe I got a B+.
Yeah.
I said, they made a mistake. This ain't real. Okay. I don't want to tell anybody, but you wrote B+ next to the wrong name. And I told Mom, and Mom said, take the second half. I took the second half. I think I got an A. I was shocked.
Yeah.
That's the first time I realized, hey, you got the goods.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's what set me up for college going forward. But she was the one that said, no, you're going to take a college course. Yeah. You are. And so I didn't fit into anybody's mold. I did it my way. Okay, I figured it out. And that opened my eyes and said, okay, you got the goods. You can go to college. And when I got out of the military, she said, you need to go get your degree. She said, I didn't say it.
Yeah.
She said, you need to go get your degree. And so I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Why did I go there? I was doing forensic toxicology. Okay. They had a department where it was forensic toxicology, where when there were things that happened on a military base, either aircraft accident or drugs or something, it went to the United States Air Force Department of Forensic Toxicology. Okay. That's where I was assigned. And I was just assigned there. But remember, I had figured out that if I finished in the top 5% of every training program, I could select where I wanted to go. And I kept doing that. So I was in the Air Force for 48 months. Okay. How long was I in training? I was in training for 30 months.
For
30 months.
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Okay.
Because I kept finishing in the top 5% of a training program. Mm-hmm. And I kept saying, okay, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And it just kept taking me to another training program, another training program, another training program. So for 2.5 years of my military time, mm-hmm. instead of being at a duty station, I was in training. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then when I finished the 2.5 years of training, I went to the United States Epidemiological Laboratory in San Antonio, Texas, and they assigned me to the Forensic Science Division. And at the Forensic Science Division, what did they have there? They did all of this sophisticated stuff. They did atomic absorption, spectrophotometry. They did gas chromatography. They did spectrophotometric analyses on this and that. I learned all this technical stuff. All of it. I was there for 1.5 years.
Wow.
I mean,
words I've never heard.
I learned all the stuff. Okay. And that prepared me for college. I wanted to be in science. So when I got out of the military, I found this school called John Jay College of Criminal Justice. They had a course in forensic science.
Okay. So,
can you see God's hand on this?
Yes.
God's hand on me and on everything that we did. I met her at 18. She was the first person that ever told me I could be somebody. That's what she said. First person. She said, I once told, because I was always sick as a kid, always in the hospital, had pneumonia 2 or 3 times. And these guys in these white suits, back in the day, they had white suit and these bad black stethoscopes, and they would come and take I said, wow, man, they are so cool. That's where I got my vision of wanting to be a doctor.
Wow. From being sick as a child.
I was sick all the time, and these guys would come in and they would poke and prod, and I would ask them, can I see? They were looking at my eyes. I said, can I see? How are you going to look in your own eye, kid? Yeah, but can I look in yours? No, get out of here, kid. I mean, I asked them, can I see? Can you show me?
Yeah.
Hey, listen to my heart. Can I hear? What do you hear? And, they would blow me off. But I said, man, this is so cool. So in the projects, being done, I get out of the hospital and they said, man, what happened to you? I said, well, I was in the hospital. And I was saying, I want to be a doctor. Why did I say that? They would mock me. So I learned to keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
That was part of, you don't fit in. Mm-hmm. And I had this image. I wanted to be a doctor. How am I going to be a doctor? I'm on 115th Street, okay? In the projects. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Came from her. God put the image in me by me being sick. But she was the one that said, after I stopped telling people, after I met her, she said, well, what do you want to do? And by the way, what are you going to do after college, after high school, was never a question that was asked.
Okay.
The question was always, you think you're going to graduate? Do you think you're going to graduate?
Okay.
I don't know. I think so. College? Get out of here.
Right.
It's never about
I
college. You think you're going to graduate?
Okay.
So when I met Marvia, she said, well, what do you want to do? And I had to debate, do I tell her? So I said, I'm going to tell her. So I told her. She said, we can do that.
And she was right.
I told her I wanted to be a doctor, and she said, we can do that. We can do that. How does she know? Where did that come from? She would say to me, we can do that. She's from 116th Street, I'm from 115th Street. Where did that come from? That only came from one place. Okay. And she never backed off of it. It was always, we can do that. Well, Mom, you think I can go to college? Yeah, we can do that. You think I can do this? Yeah, we can do that.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, I know I've been going on, but no one's ever asked me these questions like this, an interview like this. So. Sorry for rambling on.
No, don't apologize.
That's what editing is for.
No, I'm very grateful. So once you became an adult, or once you left your house, what would cause you to go back and visit? Like, was it?
I didn't.
Never. I got you a picture. Was that?
You might have pictures, but there was. If I was there, it was. We just happened to go.
Okay.
I never went back. To go back. As a
Not
matter of
to
fact,
stay.
the one.
I mean, I guess that's what I'm asking. Like, just to visit or just to see your parents, it would just be just one off here or there.
If I went back, it's because we were in transition from here to there or something like that. We never went back to go back, and say, oh, I need to go see my parents.
Okay, I see.
It wasn't there because it was always bitter. It was always difficult. And then especially when they split, it was like, it wasn't good. And as a matter of fact, your dad used to be the one who said, how come you never show up to the family gatherings? They used to have these big gatherings. I was never there. I was never at the big, where they would all get together.
Yeah.
I think I was there once. And
That
you
might
have
be
pictures
these
of it.
pictures then.
You have pictures of it. And I was there with Dee Dee and Dwight and everything, and I had this big tie, and that was the only time I was at a family gathering.
Wow.
And because I didn't want to be part of it, I basically saw that they didn't want anything and they weren't going anywhere, and I didn't want to be part of that. No one would talk about ambition. No one would talk about, gee, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And, I was growing away from where I came from. Where I came from, there was no hope. There was no vision. There was no nothing. It was just today.
Yeah.
And whenever they were there, it was just about today. Let's have a good time today. What do you want? There was nothing.
Okay. I remember one time you were at our house, and I think this was, this is the house where we lived after my dad was not with us anymore. But the townhouse that my mom had, and me and my sisters lived there. And
this was in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember.
So were you just in the area and you stopped by to say hi?
I think by that time things were changing for me and Marv. I think I was a physician then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was no longer a threat
Okay.
for me to be around people who could influence me not to get where I was going.
Gotcha.
I was already there. And so, and plus I had a little money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a different environment.
Right.
It was an environment in which, okay, I did what I wanted. I got there. And they didn't disrupt me.
Okay.
And it was almost like I'm safe now. Does that make any sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. What do you, what was your experiences, albeit brief, like, what do you remember about my mom? Like, what was she like?
Your mom was always cool. Your mom was cool. Your dad ticked me off. He ticked me off because your mom was cool. It was like, how come you're not here? How come you're not here? Where are you? You got these beautiful kids. You have this, I mean, as a matter of fact, you know who your mom reminds me of?
Yeah.
Rosa.
No, really?
Your mom reminds me of Rosa. Not afraid, ready to go get it.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to get in your way. Nothing's going to stop you. Okay, I got a plan. Let me figure it out. This is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Let's go get it.
That's her.
That's Rosa. Would you say, Mark? That's Rosa. And so, now that I'm thinking about
Mark shook his head, yes.
So now that I'm thinking about it, that's who your mom reminded me of. And I could never, it was like, what's wrong with you? Confusing. And it was part of the dynamic that I had with your dad, because who is this guy? Why is there so much confusion in your life? You were with this woman. She was very nice. But you're with this woman who's very cool. How come you're not here? And it was none of my business, but
Yeah.
that's how I saw it. And it was like, I won't tell you my thought. I
would like to ask if you would share
what?
your thought.
I thought your dad was an idiot. How can you not be with this family that you created? I just didn't get it. Everything was just right with your mom. And your mom did everything, from what I remember, your mom did everything to try and keep her family together. And I just didn't understand.
Yeah. He was.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So what it is, he was ununderstandable. He just was who he was. Till he went.
Your dad's death? It didn't have to be. Your dad did not want to take care of himself.
This I know. He got mad at me by the time he moved back to Raleigh and was with us, and he was very close to being on dialysis and stuff, so that was the point. It was like it was too late, but he just wanted to do what he wanted to do, and he wanted to live how he wanted to live. He wanted to drink, he wanted to smoke, and he wanted to just do what he did. And one time he got mad at me because I didn't want to stop him for cigarettes. And he just was. It was like, you move all the way here. Give us what little time you have left, and you want to help me shorten it? You want me to help you shorten it? And I was like, I'm not doing
Do you remember you guys calling me?
Mm-hmm. Once he was in Raleigh?
I don't know where he was, but you guys called me.
We were adults?
Or close.
I don't
You
remember.
called and said, Uncle Rich, can you help us with our dad? Because he doesn't want to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I said, there's nothing I can do. You said, but he's going to die. I said, yep. I said, because he wants to. You don't have to die from type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is a choice. I had type 2 diabetes.
Did you?
I woke up in a coma in the hospital. Ask them. I had a dress on. Okay. And when my eyes came to, I saw his face and he said, do you know where you are? This looks like a hospital room. Is that what I said? This looks like a hospital room. What am I doing here? Type 2 diabetes. Okay. So how can I say all this about type 2 diabetes and I wound up in a coma? Because I didn't realize I had it. I wasn't overweight. I wasn't eating inappropriately and all that sort of stuff, although I wasn't eating the way I was supposed to. There's a type of type 2 diabetes. It's called non-obese type 2 diabetes. Okay? And it's the only genetic form of type 2 diabetes. Where you don't have to be obese to get it.
Okay.
There's a genetic predisposition, which is what your dad had, my dad had, and what I have. Okay. And what it is your weight is not consistent with someone. The type 2 diabetes is not consistent with your weight. Your dad was thin, your grandfather was thin, I was thin, but you got it anyway. So there's a genetic predisposition with this type 2, not obese type 2 diabetes. And I had all the signs and symptoms of it, but I discounted them because with diabetes, there's a lot of thirst. Well, I was always drinking water. I was always drinking fluids. So you're always going to the bathroom. If I'm drinking a lot, you're going to go to the bathroom a lot.
Right.
Okay. So I didn't put it together. And I woke up in the ICU. Okay. I realized, I found out that my A1C was 12. You know what A1C is?
I know the term, but I don't know what the regular level is.
For a person who's a non-diabetic, it's less than 6.
Okay.
It's about 5.7.
Okay.
Okay, it was 12.
Wow.
My blood sugar was almost 700. Normal should be less than 100 or less.
Okay.
So it was almost 700. Okay. And so when I was in the hospital, I'm saying, well, how did this happen? What? And then I started putting it together. Well, I had this, and I had that, and I had this, and I had that. I said, well, I rationalized it away because of this and that. And then after I got it, I started asking the docs, how come I got type 2 diabetes? And they said, well, you didn't do this. I said, wait a minute. I was okay, but obviously I wasn't doing everything, but I didn't realize it. But then I started doing research on it, and I realized that there is a small component of people who have a genetic predisposition for type 2 diabetes. And what happens is, once you get this, a gut, and you start losing muscle mass, okay, this is metabolically active. Okay, fat on your abdomen is metabolically active. That means it's not just fat. It is producing hormones and chemicals that will lead you to become a diabetic. All right?
Wow, okay.
Okay, so it's metabolically active.
Okay.
It doesn't just sit there. Your muscle mass, I used to have to, I couldn't buy pants because of my thighs. When I was younger, my thighs were huge. And I had to buy pants that were bigger in the waist in order to get my thighs in. Okay. Whenever I was played basketball, I could dunk. I was pretty athletic. I had gigantic thighs. As I got older, my thighs started to shrink, and now they're skinny. Why is that important? Most of your blood sugar is being used by your muscle mass.
Okay.
When you start to lose muscle mass, you don't burn as much sugar. Well, where's that sugar? Circulating in your blood. Now you have metabolically active abdominal fat, which is causing you to have what's called metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is your body's producing insulin, but you have insulin resistance. Okay, what's insulin resistance? You want to open the door to you want to open your door. Your door's locked. You want to get in the house. What do you do to open the door?
Unlock it, turn the knob.
How do you unlock it?
The key.
Okay, insulin is the key to the door, to the cell membrane to let sugar in. Okay. Metabolic syndrome, the key doesn't turn anymore. Right?
Okay.
So what are you going to do? Your body's going to say, wait, this key ain't turning. Let me send some more insulin. Let me send some more keys. All those keys ain't working. Door still ain't opening. And after a while, you get so much, okay, it'll open for a little bit. All right? But it doesn't open consistently. That's metabolic syndrome. So if the door to the cell membrane is not opening, what's happening to all the sugar? It's accumulating in your blood, right? You're not burning it in your muscle mass because you have less. Metabolically active. So now you got all this insulin, and the insulin ain't opening the door. All that sugar is circulating in your blood.
Wow.
Okay? So what was my blood sugar? It's almost 700. An A1C. An A1C is a protein in the body that couples with sugar that you can measure, and it tells me how your body is responding to the amount of sugar in your blood over the course of 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
So if I measure that, it'll tell me you ain't doing so well with controlling your blood sugar because your A1C is high. You got the picture?
Yeah.
Okay. So I found out what my A1C was. I found out what my blood sugars were. I get out of the hospital. I'm on insulin. And the endocrinologist says, well, I need to see you. And I said, okay. I said, but here's what I'm going to tell you, Doc. And I made a promise to Marvia. I don't know if I said it to Mark and Carmen. I said, this will never happen to me again. And so it takes 4 to 6 months for your A1C to come down.
Wow, okay.
I told the endocrinologist, I said, I'll be back in 6 weeks. He said, okay, but we'll check your blood, we'll check your A1C in 3 months. I said, no, you're going to check it in 6 weeks. He said, no. As a matter of fact, the endocrinologist I knew, as a matter of fact, the docs who were seeing me in the hospital, they were all new docs in the community, and I fed them new patients to build up their practice.
Oh, okay.
So when they saw me there, they were giving me a hard time. What's wrong with you, man? I mean, what are you doing here? You know better. I said,
Right.
Come on, man. Come on. No, man, you should not. So anyway, I told the endocrinologist, I said, no, I'll be back in 6 weeks. 6 weeks later, he does the blood sugar. He does the A1C. 6.3. My blood sugar, my A1C has been 6.3 to 6.7 for the last 3 years.
Wow.
I said, it will never happen to me again.
How did you get it to come down so quickly?
Because I knew what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had to change everything I was doing that I thought I was doing right. Mm-hmm. Remember what I told you? I said, I tell you what her weight is? Mm-hmm. I said, she should be about 225 pounds. Right. I said, but because of the way we eat, even though we don't exercise the way I know we need to, mm-hmm. I have her weight under control. Okay. All right, let me take this.